So you kind of have I'm not going to call it the best of both worlds, but you're probably one of the few in this company that have got to see both sides, right? Anthony came from the EJC side. He now is director of marketing, right? You come from the interior side, same sort of deal. What was that transition like?
It was, well, initially I was kind of forced into it, and by forced I mean just because there was changes. So they're like, oh, we kind of want you to be on interiors. I did work directly with Ackerman Doors for a while, so I had at least that part experience with. But when marketing shifted, I got moved into IPS and got to kind of thrown into it. But ended up being awesome because I got to work with all the interior products and learn more of the kind of the sales side of things. So it was definitely a cool experience. I feel like even now I have a very soft spot for doors, just because I worked with them for so long. So I'm always mindful of anything doors related, just because doing it for so long, you kind of can't help it. But it's interesting to see, the business unit side of things and what they're looking for, and now being back on the marketing side and bringing the two together.
Yeah. Do you feel that becomes a little bit of a, I don't know what the word is, like not an argument or a quarrel by any means, like between the sales side of it and the marketing side of it, right? Like, so you came from that and what kind of materials you wanted, or, the reps needed, or what have you, right? Now being on the interior side with, I say interior, but like internal inside of marketing, right? Do you still feel like you have a pulse on that? If that makes sense.
Probably, yeah, I think still some, because while, trends and things like that change, a lot of the core customer needs and things like that don't. So I feel like I still have that understanding. It's definitely stronger with IPS than it is APS, just because of that, my background. So I kind of have to remember the APS. Now I have to support the whole company and not just interiors. But the interesting side of that is that, when you're on the business side of things, you have one perspective on when you have marketing requests and things like that. And now on the marketing side, and I feel like, you kind of get frustrated backwards now, because I'm like, you had one perspective when you're on the business side, but now that you're sitting on the marketing side, you're like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to have that perspective now.
Right. Do you ever want to go back into that?
No. I mean, not no, but I definitely am really enjoying being back on the marketing team, because I was on strictly the business unit side for about 5+ years. So, I mean, maybe one day, but right now it's really nice being back in the marketing side, and because there's definitely times I missed it, because that's what I went to school for. That's what I did when I first started at CS. But I really loved being on the business side of too, because it had, its own benefits. I learned a lot on the NPD side and business side. But right now, I love the marketing side.
Yeah. So, okay, just because, like, I know I'm learning a lot through doing these podcasts with everybody kind of in the company. Like, there's a lot of things I definitely don't know. Okay. And I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here for a second.
No.
So, in a previous episode, I talked about specifications with Anthony. I talked about like the design something, or I forget what it was now with Amy, but she walked me through that process, right? Is there anything from that side, so from your previous CS life, that most people in the company wouldn't know, right? In terms of, let's say I worked in drafting, or I mean, actually in my job role, right, as the media producer, like something from that side that people don't know, specifications, design briefs. I don't even know what the question would be. And again, we can, if we need to, we can cut some of this out. But
I think two things that come to mind. And it's not that people won't know, it's maybe underestimating the importance of. Um, One is doing some of the voice of customer work that I did early on when I was in IPS, and then a lot of that I did with Kevin. And it's when there's like a new project, or you're trying to find out just feedback on a product or anything like that, or just learn about, you know, the nitty gritty of an industry where you may know kind of higher level, but you're trying to really get more details. Like we did a whole research on head walls, that there's a lot of details that we didn't know until you get to talk to customers. And just the importance of that, and having those conversations, and how much our customers actually want to have those conversations. You know, you always feel like you are bothering them because they're busy, and they are. But we had so many people that were excited to tell us about, you know, their pain points at a facility or a hospital, or products they wish they had, or offering feedback on products, and just apparently how little companies actually do that. And we've had customers tell us, like, you know, you're the first ones that we've had these conversations with. And it feels like such an obvious thing to do, but it's actually a lot of fun on our end, because you get to learn so many things.
How do you set that up? And like, what type of customers are we talking about here?
So most recently we met with like architects and designers, because a lot of the products we had to talk about were interior products. And we went through like the regional, back then GSMs, but that team to connect us with the reps that they think would have a good context for what we're looking for. We reach out to the reps, they give us a list, and then we just reach out to the customers and say, hey, we're looking to get feedback on XYZ. We're not looking to do a sales pitch. It's just strictly understanding you and your needs and your market. And most of the time they get back to us, and there's a couple times we're like, listen, I'm really busy right now, we've got huge projects, we'll get back to you in a couple months. Or they're like, yeah, set something up, I'm excited for that. Pre-pandemic we did more in-person stuff, but kind of the process works the same.
Yeah.
And another thing I thought of, this is back when I was still indoors, kind of understanding the day in the life of a customer. And this was kind of an unintentional discovery, but Mike DeLynn and I went to a facility to measure a mock-up door. And Paul and Mike at the time wanted me to get out more just to see what they do, whether it's mock-ups, meeting with customers, things like that, because I was their marketing person. And we had met with a facilities guy who was all about getting a mock-up door. We just had to measure it, pick a color, and that was it. So we get there, and from the entrance to the room that we had to measure the door, the facilities guy got stopped like 6 or 7 times because someone needed something, and he was the go-to guy. And you know that these people are busy, but I don't think you really comprehend it until we literally couldn't make it down a hallway without stopping that many times because someone needed something from him. And this was like a 10-minute meeting with him. We're just here to measure a door. It was already pre-established. So just kind of understanding that day in the life of a customer that you don't really think about. You're like, sure, he's busy, but you don't really realize that until you're there, and you're like, wow, this guy has to have his hands on everything.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I find that a lot from just even the marketing side of it. You know, we always say like, yeah, we know what architects want to hear or see or, you know, feel, touch, whatever you want to call it.
yeah,
And sometimes I feel like we don't actually know.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not just saying marketing in general. I'm saying like marketing as a whole in terms of like marketing across the globe.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we might think they want that, but maybe they don't, you know, or we might think they'll watch that on Instagram. There's no way of knowing this actual process or anything, which is, it always makes it fun because like, at least from my job role, it's always been a kind of throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks sort of deal, right? And especially when I started, like we didn't have much video.
No.
You know, we had like 700 subscribers to YouTube.
Yeah, the things we do now versus back then.
Which would
huge
lead me
difference.
into my next question for you then. Like you've been here, what, 17 years, 16 years? 14. I was close. Close. Right? So when you started, obviously we were still segmented at that point. marketing people, right? But overall with CS, like, how have you seen the brand change in those 14 years?
My God, immensely. When I started, we had every BU had their own catalog. They all looked similar, but it was their own one. We had advertisements that all looked similar, but for all the different products. And it was just kind of every year we did similar programs, just updated based on new products, new messaging, things like that. Everything felt a little bit more formal as well. I know there was one point when I was indoors, even writing some copy, because at that point everything was even more segmented than when I first started. We couldn't even include exclamation points in some of our copy because it was,
Too bold.
Yeah, it wasn't part of our tone back then.
Mm-hmm.
Now we, I think, have relaxed a little bit. Are not afraid to take some risks with some of the marketing, still within parameters. We're not going complete haywire, but I think we take more risks. We have more fun. And I think that allows our customers to connect with us more. You see nowadays so many even more formal brands have more fun with their marketing and just how they want to present themselves to the market. So I'm kind of happy that we're going in that direction too. I mean, even doing something like CS Live with the pandemic, that was never something I would have imagined CS to do. And the new sustainability video and just even the case stories and the advertising and everything that we're doing is just, there's still elegance to it, but we're having more fun with it. We're more approachable, more personable. So it's been really fun to see where marketing and our advertising efforts have gone. I think that's part of why I get so excited to be part of the team now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm having a great time.
Yeah.
And it's only going to get more fun from here.
I mean,
right?
We're sitting here doing a podcast, so.
Exactly. Right. And we're talking about stuff that, it can be anything.
Yeah.
So speaking of anything, we have our resin bowl of questions here.
Resin bowl of goodies.
Resin bowl of goodies. You get to choose two. So we'll choose one, and then we'll talk about it, and then you get to choose another one.
Okay.
So go ahead and choose one.
Can I read them first?
No. You pick.
All right. If you could be any animal, what would you be and why? There's so many great animals in the world.
Yeah, that there is.
I think one animal that I've always kind of loved and I feel like can resonate with.
Go for it.
Is a koala.
A koala bear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, they just kind of hang out and they're these cute little furry things, usually pretty approachable, but they have a feisty side.
They do. I've seen these videos.
Yeah, they get, I actually met someone from Australia years ago and he's like, yeah, they can be, at that point I didn't know this, but he's like, they can be aggressive little things if they're, stressed or threatened. And, so it's kind of most of the time they're these cute little docile things, but don't mess with them because they're a little feisty.
They really can be. I mean, but they are pretty cuddly too.
Yeah.
I would say for me, I'd like to be a panda.
Oh, pandas are great.
Right? If you have an Instagram or a TikTok, I guess, I don't have TikTok, but you have one of those, do yourself a favor and watch pandas falling. They are
just tumble.
They are possibly some of the dumbest, most fun characters you've ever seen in your life. Right?
They just tumble everywhere and then they sit back up. They're like, we're cool.
Absolutely. And they get a little bit mad, but then they get back into it. And I feel like they're smiling the whole time. I mean, you can't tell because they just have a black spot on their face, but I feel like they're absolutely smiling inside the whole time.
It's this is my life. It's fine.
Absolutely. They don't care.
Have you seen red pandas? Those are cute.
They are. I like the big ones though. I think
I
that
know.
when they roll down some of those,
they're funnier when they're that big.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like Baymax from Big Hero 6.
Bingo.
Just this
bingo. I love it.
thing.
Yeah. side note, I found something out the other day, and I ended up Googling it because like it was blowing my mind. So I was watching this thing, or no, I'm sorry, I was thinking about this like, how do hippos like move so fast through the water? And I got to thinking, I'm like, I want to see a hippo swim, right? So I Googled it. I'm like, how do hippos swim? Come to find out, they don't swim, they run. So they're like a 2-ton animal or a half-ton, whatever. They sink in the river and they run along the bottom.
Fascinating.
Right? As fast as humanly not as fast as hippoli possible. I don't even know what you would call it, right? They whip up, see where they're at, go back down, run more. But they can run like 30 miles an hour.
Oh my God.
Hippos.
And running in water is hard.
Seriously. But they just streamline themselves through the water. And I'm telling you, again, do yourself a favor. Go watch hippos running through the water. Right? I mean, also with the David Attenborough, like in your ears, like hippos run at 30 miles an hour. I don't know if that probably sounds more like Patrick Stewart than David Attenborough.
It does actually. But, if you want to see 2 hippos, the Adventure Aquarium in Camden has 2 of them. And we watched them get fed the last time we were there a couple weeks ago. And it's just fascinating.
So then I got
so big.
I got to thinking, like, how'd they get that footage? Because somebody had to be underwater. And then
Someone
I think
provoked it.
Right? I had to think usually the videos and stuff you see of hippos, like it's brown water. And I'm like, you ain't getting that footage underneath there. I know, I'm not dumb. So they did it at like one of the zoos where it was like a clear glass, and they watched them go down and run along the water.
It's fascinating.
Yeah. I mean,
I would have never
ever guessed it.
No.
But
the things you can find footage of now.
Oh my gosh. That would be my absolute dream job, is being like a National Geographic photographer. But there was a dude one time that was trying to get a shot of a snow leopard baby, right? He camped out on the side of a mountain for 2 years. 2 years to get a photo that probably made him like $8 million, but of a snow leopard baby coming out of the cave for the first time.
That's crazy.
Absurd.
The footage that they get with like birds and bugs, or like good timing of like something attacking something else. I'm like, how long have you been sitting there?
They sit there a lot. There's one, I don't know why we're completely still on animals, but
it's fine.
There's one, speaking of which, maybe CS needs like a spirit animal, like not a mascot, because we don't need to be doing mascots, but like some spirit animal. Yeah. Anyway, there's one on Netflix or whatever where it's all the nighttime stuff, and they put in like infrared cameras like out in the jungle. Have you ever seen that?
Like clips.
Yeah, that's absurd. They see some really weird stuff.
The things that go on when no one's watching.
Seriously. Okay. I'm going to take that one out too, because I think we've had that one before.
All right.
So, oh boy. I probably wouldn't take that one, but that's up to you. Ooh.
Do I have to do this one?
What is it?
Swear words, are they bad? Agree or disagree, and why?
I've had this one with Anthony, so.
Anthony?
Everybody kind of knows where I stand on it. Shall we? Not sorry.
Well, if you ask my husband, I have a mouth of a sailor, so that should tell you all you need to know where I stand with that. I don't think they're necessary. I think it depends on the context of your environment, who you're with. Like, should you be dropping F-bombs in the middle of a meeting? No. When you're, at home and frustrated, or like having a honest conversation with a coworker, like venting, or like trying to get, sharing something, I think it's okay. It kind of gets like that frustration out without wanting to punch something.
Yeah. And
whether this is true or not, I saw a TikTok or something about like swearing is a sign of intelligence. So there you go.
And I'm smart.
That you are. So I think it really depends.
I've also heard that, like, let's say you stub your toe.
Yeah.
I've heard that if you swear in that instance, your pain tolerance decreases by 400%, or pain tolerance increases by 400%. Like you can take more pain
Yeah,
if you swear. It pops it down that much.
I could see that.
Like, I mean, how many times do you stub your toe and, you know, it's not like you say, oh, darn, that hurts.
F-bombs are flying.
Bingo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, I've talked about this, so, you know, people probably know where I stand on it. But, like, I think it's a little bit more of a sign of passion than it is of anything else. Like, I know people say it's, you know, oh, you don't have a very extensive vocabulary if you have to use that. Okay, well,
I don't think that's true.
shut the F up, right? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I think as long as it's like, you know, if you're respectful or if the context of your surroundings, it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
If you're just going around being an a-hole and dropping all these, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I walk around saying it all the time, but like if it comes out in a meeting or it comes out, you know, with a coworker or something, okay, like I'm not going to be upset about it.
Yeah.
But again, if you're upset about it, fine. Like that's on you. Okay. Yeah. Like it is what it is, but hold on, let's see.
Should do the Ryan Reynolds question.
I hate Ryan Reynolds.
What?
But, okay.
We don't have to.
How about we do one more?
Okay.
One more. I'm gonna just pop that one down in there. Okay. You're reading them, you cheater. Sure, that one's good.
Is it?
Pick it.
Oh no, I don't want that one.
Look at this cheater.
Where's the other one?
Okay, you're doing that one.
Oh no, I don't like that one either. I'll do the historical one.
What was the historical one?
If you had, what's that one?
Oh, okay. There you go.
Okay. So it has to be like historical, like or
historical just means yesterday or beyond.
Okay, so does it have to be like it can be like a celebrity or it could be anybody?
Read the question.
All right. If you could have a deep conversation with any historical person, who would it be and why? So I've kind of like have seen questions like that. You know, if like you can have dinner with anyone alive or dead, who would it be? And for me, the first person that comes to mind is Robin Williams.
Okay.
He, for when I was little, he played my favorite Disney character, so the genie.
Yep.
It's my favorite Disney movie, favorite Disney character. But just him in general, he's so, I find, engaging and interesting and funny, but can be serious, and he's so dynamic. Obviously, he had a lot of struggles, but I don't know. I just was always so fascinated by him, and he's, I think, the only celebrity that I actually got very emotional when he passed. I think just being connected from like the voice side of things, from Aladdin to just a lot of his other acting gigs and everything else that he did is just, I just find him so interesting. So I feel like conversations with him would be really engaging, and I feel like he was just very passionate about different things, whether it's entertainment or.
Yeah. Do you think? And I mean, again, we're talking about him posthumous.
I don't know how to pronounce it.
He passed away.
Yes.
So we're talking about him in the past. But like, do you think he always felt the need to be funny? Like, I don't think people went up to him and said like, "Oh, you're a comedian? Tell me a joke," like that. But like, I feel like he always felt the need to put a persona on of being the wild one.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when you're struggling mentally like he was, you kind of try to put on a mask, whether it's to convince yourself that you're this person or everything's good, or convince others, or I think some of it is a little bit what you see is what you get with him, but I feel like it's kind of that, but also I wouldn't be surprised if part of it was, you know, kind of a little bit more just to kind of cover up some of what he was struggling with.
Yeah. I mean, he did a couple of movies there where he was in a serious tone. I think Patch Adams was one, and Goodwill Hunting.
Oh, great movie.
You know, I mean, I don't think he was. I think he was a very deep actor.
Yeah.
But I think being on set with him would have been amazing.
Yeah.
The improvisation that he has would probably be. It would be so much fun to see.
I watched. They had a recording of him, doing just improv and throwing out one-liners when he was recording Aladdin, and it was just like rapid fire, random lines. Some of them definitely not safe for work. Some of them were, and they were just at the end, just like picked what made sense to throw in for him as Genie. But he's just like rattled off, just endless content and like endless lines for them to pick from. And I feel like just having a conversation with him would be funny, and just the stories he would tell. And I feel like you can get deep with him and have a heart to heart. Like, I feel like he's, been honest about some of his struggles. And so it'd just be a very much a roller coaster of a ride.
Sure.
A conversation with him. So,
Sure.
who would you pick?
For me, I mean, I probably could have a different answer every time somebody would ask me this question.
I'm sure I have more people.
But in this case, I would like to talk to anybody that signed the Declaration of Independence, or for that matter, like the Constitution, right? And not necessarily from the fact of like, I want to know who you are. I would really like to know like how they came up with that set of, rules, laws, what have you. And for them to be so forward thinking, I mean, think about right now, like if you and I had to sit here and develop rules for CS 100 years from now, you know how hard that would be?
Yeah.
Right? Like, and we're talking about a country, like an absolute new nation. And we're trying to say like, you can do this, or you can't do this, or you shouldn't do this, or maybe not. Like, it had to be so absurd, and I would have just loved to be able to hear the conversations go on. And I wonder if they're like, if they were more roundtable, right? If somebody said, like Benjamin Franklin or something was like, hey, I think we should have the right to bear arms. And then like maybe somebody across the table was like, yeah, nah, not gonna happen. Like, and then they bantered back and forth, and then some other guy stepped in. No, maybe 6 guns or something to that matter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that had to be so difficult to be able to do. And I would have loved to have been in the room.
How forward thinking do you think they were? Like, do you think, and not, I don't mean it compared to today, but do you think it was one of those like, hey, let's slap these rules together and maybe they'll get scrapped in 50 years, we won't worry about it? Or do they think like we really should make something that's going to last as long as possible?
Well, and maybe the case wasn't that they were forward thinking. It was that the case that was the rules of the time.
Yeah.
So they made them, and then everybody was just like,
sure.
Well, I guess they know what they're talking about. They're leaders, so we'll just go with it.
Yeah.
Kind of sheepishly followed them. I have no idea. I mean, again, nobody would really know. But yeah, just to hear them talk back and forth about them, and like, how do you pick the order, too? Right?
Whatever people are most passionate about.
Well, again, you had how many? I'll just take a stab in the dark. You had 25 people in there. I don't know, maybe more. I mean, I've been in that room. There wasn't a lot of seating. It's not like they had 400.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe they did. I should probably Google that to make sure I'm not that dumb. But like, how do you? All right, does anybody have anything? I think we have freedom of press and speech and, whatever. Yeah, sure, that can be number one. Like, did they get them all down and then they prioritize them? Did they rank them? Did they say, I don't know. But it's pretty crazy to think that rules 270, 80 years ago, I don't even know how long it's been now. I can't do that quick math. 250-ish, almost. Like, that they're still completely applied today.
Yeah. It's a long time.
And we're talking like 26 or how many bill of, or how many
You're asking the wrong person.
27, I think. 27 amendments?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, and the world has changed, or the U.S. has changed
Yeah.
immensely over 250 years.
Yeah. And to think, I mean, not that we're just going to go down this rabbit hole real quick. Like, to think how much has changed in that time frame, and then take it to how much has changed in the last 15 to 20 years.
Yeah.
Right? I went downstairs the other day at my mom's house, and she had an old computer there, and I turned it on because I was like, oh, I haven't seen this in a while. Windows XP. I'm like, I don't even know if I can get into this.
Oh, my God.
And then I knew how to work it, obviously, because I grew up on that computer. But, like, in 20 years, we got to a fact where, like, we're on iPhone 15 that, you know, can take 4K video in your pocket.
My first cell phone was literally a brick.
Right. Like, so then you think, like, okay, at that time, we didn't really know anything about this.
Yeah.
Those cell phones. At this time, think about if you're in the Windows XP, you know, setup room, okay, but you're now with the current stuff that we have. In 20 years, what could they possibly have that's that much different?
I mean, we're thinking about it with what we already know. So it's like hard to wrap our minds around within the context of what currently is available to figure out what's...
Right, but like even if you could take a guess, like do you think
I want my flying car.
You want your flying car? It's absurd.
I mean, to kind of scale it back a little bit, even like let's say marketing. When I graduated college, I remember senior year, my PR professor was like, oh, is anyone on Twitter? I just signed up, and like 80% of the room was like, what the heck is a Twitter?
Yeah.
And now it's not even called Twitter.
Yeah.
And there's like so many other, we like live marketing by social media in many cases. And it's, you know.
I remember my buddy came home from Penn State. I was a senior in high school, and he was a freshman. He came home. He's like I was still getting on MySpace. And he came home. He's like, dude, you got to see this. And he logged onto that same computer I just talked about with his Penn State ID, and he got on Facebook. And I was like, this is kind of cool, I suppose. But he's like, it's only for college kids. You got to have a college ID.
Yeah, back then.
You know what's funny? My login to that is still my college email.
Does it work?
Yeah, it works. Like, I'm sure it won't work now because once this goes out, like they'll be calling me and like the FBI will be at my door.
Cody off the Facebook.
Misericordia.edu. And I'm like, I couldn't log into that if I tried.
Oh my God.
But it still gets me into Facebook, I guess.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, it's crazy. It's like bananas to think about how different that could be.
I was talking to someone the other day, and we had both talked about how cool it would be to be able to go back in time for like 3 days, like pick a decade, just see what the 20s were like, what the 40s were like, what the 50s were like, just like to be in it. Like, sure, you read about it, you see movies about it, but to actually like be in it, it was just so cool.
There's a joke, Nate Bargatze talks about it. He's like, if I went back to the 20s right now, I'm not even sure I could tell you that I'm from the future. I couldn't convince them because like they'd be like, what, like, oh, I gotta go make a call. Oh, here in 80 years you're gonna have a phone in your pocket and you can talk on the phone. How do they do that? I don't know. Right? Like he's like, I just have to get a regular job and I just live in the 20s. But okay, there's a question for you. If you could go back to a single decade, what would you go back to?
I don't know. I have so many. Like, I'd love to go to the 70s.
Okay.
Just like the whole hippie era and Woodstock and just peace and love and just the music. 50s. I feel like everything was just so like prim and proper in the 50s.
Okay.
And 20s. I feel like 20s are a wild time. You know, I'm disregarding the fact that during some of these decades there are like wars going on.
Sure.
Just like the vibe of that decade.
Yeah.
You know, and I love like swing music, so like anything like that was around in the 20s, and just I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just kind of fun to experience the different, because the U.S. has changed. Like every decade's like a whole different kind of. It feels like it wasn't only 10 years.
Yeah.
It feels like it should be longer, but it's like every decade is just like this new style of people and music and culture, and just to be able to experience it in person, I think it'd be really cool.
I would like to go back to the 1490s.
Oh, you went real far.
Yeah. Right?
Why?
Is it 1492?
Columbus sailed the ocean blue?
Right.
Okay.
I'd like to see what this place looked like in 1492.
Open land to Native Americans.
Like if I could go back with anything, I'd go back with a drone just to be able to throw it up in the air and see what everything looked like.
Oh my gosh, that'd be so cool.
Right?
Yeah.
Like how completely different it would be.
Yeah.
Go to New York City where there's nothing and throw a drone up and just see what it would look like.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that would be crazy.
No, I agree. And I think that's part of the appeal is when you see movies or like old footage, obviously not from 1490s, but of decades long ago, and just seeing like what cities looked like, and it looks like the country.
Yeah.
It's just so fascinating.
Yeah.
No cars, just horse and buggies.
I don't know. Are trees just as tall? Are like, is there any opening? Like, is it all trees? I mean, I'm sure there's fields and stuff, obviously, but like, I don't know.
That'd be so cool. See, it's got you thinking.
You don't even get me thinking. Like, I'll go down rabbit holes like this all day long.
It's so fascinating.
Yeah.
Just to see the changes.
Like, I don't understand how microwaves work.
Don't ask me to explain it. It just heats up my food and we're good to
Yeah,
go.
but if you put 4 chicken nuggets in there for 30 seconds.
Only 3 of them will be warm.
Right? Yeah. For 30 seconds. But then you turn around and go and put 8 in there. You got to put them in for like a minute 30.
Yeah.
For them all to get warm.
Yeah. Are you skeptical of the microwave?
Ridiculous.
Do you use the microwave?
I do.
But you're skeptical of it.
I'm not skeptical. I just don't know how it operates. And it almost makes me upset to a point. Right?
Can't you just Google it?
Like I know it depends on like the water content in your food, because that's what like basically boils to make it hot. But and also to that point, like I'm pretty sure that like our moms are the only ones that know the proper time to put something in for. Like if you had a can of soup, right? Or not a can. If you had a bowl of soup that you just pulled out of the fridge, okay, and you put it in the microwave, you're guessing.
At this point,
go ahead, guess a number.
A bowl of soup.
A bowl of soup, right here.
I mean, it depends on
bowl
the size.
Vegetable beef, a bowl of soup about that big.
3 minutes.
3 minutes. Okay. Do you stir it?
I try to halfway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You cover it.
With either the cover or maybe like.
Okay.
Maybe a paper plate.
Yeah. What about like pieces of turkey for a turkey sandwich?
Why would you put that in the?
Like if you pull it off a rotisserie chicken or rotisserie turkey, and you put that on a plate, how long are you going for?
Man, that's like 15 seconds.
15 seconds.
That gets
right?
hot so fast.
I guarantee it's either scalding hot or just too cold to the point where it's not the perfect temperature.
And some things you have to cut in half. Like if you're throwing a burrito in there, it's got to get cut in half, or
See?
else that middle's gonna get cold.
See? I don't. But if I would give it to my mom, be like, Mom, can you put this in the microwave? She'd be like, okay. Like she made the friggin' microwave.
She's got years of experience.
You know what I mean?
Eating your food.
Also, to that point, and again, we're going
down.
We're going absolutely off the rails. I can never understand, and I've told my mother this the other day. I can never understand how you can make like a 4-course meal, right? Veggies, fruit, meat, and bread or whatever you want to call it. I don't understand how you could start those. Like you can start dinner and somehow they all end up done at the exact same time.
I have yet to figure that out.
Seriously, right? Like, okay, I start my meat. Okay, well now my meat's done and my corn's not done. My green beans are. Oh, now I got to put the bread in. Oh, the bread's gonna get burnt. Like
we cook a decent amount, and I like both my husband and I. If it's like a bigger meal, if we have people over, we're cooking at the same time, and I can never get the timing right.
Seriously,
I just know the salad goes last because it's the quickest.
But I don't get it.
But some like the potatoes or the sides always done first. It's just I can't.
There's got to be a Rolodex in again, in moms' heads that
They just know.
figure it out.
My mom nails it almost
Every
every single
time.
She just knows.
Every time. I don't get it, and
You're not a mom.
I'm not, but I wish I could.
I am, and I still can't.
I wish I could figure it out. Like, it pisses me off every time I sit there, going back to the swear word thing. But, like, it gets me every time. I'm cooking dinner. I'm like, why are you not done? But you're definitely done. Like, so now I got to put you off to the side. You're going to get cold by the time you get done. And then
The sides are always cold.
and then I don't want to eat anymore.
Always.
I'm like, I'm just so mad. I'm good. Like,
Like, I'm over it.
yeah, I'm done. Well, anyway, thanks for joining us.
We went on quite a journey today.
I love this stuff.
This is fun.
Yeah, it allows me to talk freely and just see what other people are thinking.
I know. I was listening to podcasts. I'm like, I just want to sit and chat about random things.
Yeah,
That's fun.
that's kind of what I'm doing here.
If you ever want me to come back, I'll
We'll-
answer some more tough
We'll
questions.
take a survey and see if everybody wants you back.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
No worries.
All
Have
right.
fun.
You too.
See you, bud.
Bye.